A lot of people, when they think of networking, the first thing they think is business cards. Having business cards is great. It's not necessarily required, but it's nice to have. In this day and age where we have our phones, we can get each other's number, email addresses, connect with each other on LinkedIn. So business cards has not always been that important. It can be something as simple as having your contact information on it. It can be a little bit more crafty depending on what you want your branding to be. I carry around my business card with me all the time in a little envelope, like an invitation to an event, and it has my business card inside. So however you decide that you want to brand yourself with your business card, that is something you need to go around with at all times. The other one is having your social media, your LinkedIn, your website updated, however you want people to be able to get in touch with you afterwards. And most importantly, knowing what your goals are going into any sort of networking event or networking situation. For a lot of us who are salespeople in the room, a very common goal is I want to sell whatever it is that my company is creating. And that's a very difficult concept to walk in with because there's only two outcomes. Someone either buys your product or they don't. A better mindset to go into any situation with is, how can I help someone? And for us being in Toastmasters, I found that this is actually a great networking tool, not just networking with each other, but talking to other people about Toastmasters. Because many of you who are guests or have been here for a while know, once upon a time, you might have heard about Toastmasters at some point, and then you met someone who was actually a part of Toastmasters and validated that reason for you to come be with us today. So knowing what groups you're part of, knowing what skills you have, knowing what past experiences you've gone through, all of these are different ways that you can help someone. When the next part is actually engaging in conversation. Say you go to a networking event. Say you come to this Toastmasters meeting and you're talking to people beforehand. There are two different tips that I want to share with you that I've picked up over the years. One is wearing your name badge on the right side of your body versus the left side or in the middle. Because when you shake someone's hand, their line of sight goes right up to your right side. And the other thing is when you are getting a beverage or getting some kind of drink, hold it in your left hand. Because if you hold it in your right hand and, oh, sorry, I need to shake your hand, let me wipe my hand first and then sorry, my hand's wet. That's a way to prevent that. So just two little tips as you're scribbling your name badge and introducing yourself to people. Now you get to the part where you're trying to figure out who to talk to, especially entering a room full of strangers where you're not attending with someone that you already know. It's hard to tell who would be the next best connection. You might find someone else who's standing by themselves. You might gravitate towards the most attractive person in the room, or you might gravitate towards the most social person in the room. Whatever it may be, somehow you end up in a conversation with someone. The most common question that people like to ask at networking events is,
what do you do?
What do you do? Exactly. And that's a very difficult conversation to have. People have mixed feelings about this, but I personally don't like this question unless you're at a dinner party and you're just really trying to get to know each other. But for business purposes, I do not like this question. Because if I'm telling you that I'm an event planner and you have no need for an event planner in your life, I suddenly become irrelevant. Some other good questions that you can ask at a networking event include, what brings you here today? How did you hear about this event? How can I help you? Again, bringing in that value that you can use to help the other person. Take the pressure off yourself. A lot of people feel super awkward and uncomfortable in situations where they're around strangers because they're so worried about how they look, their self-image, where they are in life. But if you really just try to get to know the other person and find out what connections you have with them and how you can help them, you start feeling a lot more relaxed and comfortable, and you're able to have the conversations that I know that you're able to have one-on-one. And the last part is exiting the conversation, which a lot of people find to be the most awkward part because it feels like a breakup. It's not me, it's not you, I gotta go, or so it's not one of those situations where you need someone to pick up the phone and call you and get you out of this. You can just politely say to that person, oh, it was really nice talking to you. Here's my business card. If I can ever help you in any way, just feel free to contact me. Otherwise, I'll see you before I leave, hopefully. Something that really just takes the pressure off you. Again, don't be afraid to remove yourself from that conversation in a very polite way, because you're both there to make good connections and to learn something from each other. And most importantly, follow up with the person that you say you're going to follow up with. Some people like to sprinkle out their business cards, or some people will just hit on you or get drunk along the way, and you don't really want to talk to them ever again. That's fine, but if it's someone who you could potentially have a business connection with, make sure that you send a follow-up email. You can have a template in your email draft saying, it was nice to meet you at this event. Again, as I said, let me know if I can ever help you, and then that's all the follow-up needs to happen. So with networking and with public speaking in general, it's not natural. We all grew up with that phrase, don't talk to strangers, because that is a natural thing to do. We stay away from the unknown. We stay away from things that scare us. But if we learn how to properly prepare for these situations, if we learn how to take the pressure off us and really just genuinely get to know someone else and then follow up with them, you can find yourselves building a lot more rewarding relationships. Because even if you meet one person at a networking event, maybe they can't help you, or they won't want to buy your product that day or the next day, but a couple years from now, they might be the person that'll actually land you your next job. Mr. Toastmaster.